the recurve release is one of the most difficult parts of the technique, especially for beginner archers. So today I'm joined by Mike Peart, and we're going to talk about 6 tips for beginners to improve their recurve release. So thank you for joining me, Mike. I think we're going to start off with your kind of first tip, if that's all right. What would you say is the kind of first thing that you want to mention here?
My first one is more of how you frame the release in your mind. And with many of my tips, I'm being 100% unoriginal. I'm stealing this from gold medal Olympic coach Lloyd Brown, because the way he presented it to me changed the way I looked at the release. He thinks a lot of the time the problem is when people think about the release and they think about the string and the tension on their fingers, they think about the release as going from having, let's say you've got 100% tension to hold the string, and then when they think about the release, either when the clicker goes or when they're just happy to release themselves, they think the tension in their fingers must go to 0. And because they think about it going to 0, they think about opening their fingers. And so often when you consciously open your fingers, you then end up with a bit of a flappy release. And I think we've all seen releases like that. So when he's teaching everything from beginners right up to someone like myself who was on the national team, he wanted me to think of, okay, if it takes me 100% effort to hold that 50-pound bow, just try dropping the pressure down to 40%. Now, obviously, if you drop it down to 40%, the string is going to slip out of your fingers. And we actually started off by putting a bottle of water in a carrier bag, holding the bottle of water down beside me, and just thinking about not opening the fingers, just reducing the tension in the fingers and letting the string slip out. And immediately I noticed that afterwards my fingers close. And I've noticed on all the top videos I watch, the string gets pulled out of people's fingers and then the fingers close and the hand comes back. And when you're in that mindset of I'm going to open my fingers, the fingers open and they come away from your face, and we end up with we'll call it a substandard release. But changing that mindset, and he said particularly right at the beginning, when you're learning or even when you're teaching someone for the first time, that they want to relax their fingers and maybe just keep a little bit of tension in there, was actually a great way of starting to get people to have a more productive release rather than what can end up being a bit of a flinchy forward release, or even if it's not, it can just end up being a wide, inconsistent release. Because it seems to me we're a lot more consistent in relaxing our fingers than opening our fingers. And even for someone like myself who had 15 years of shooting experience, this change of mindset and practicing this was something that was able to improve my release. Even though I'd had 15 years of doing it wrong, I was able to make progress by just that change of mindset. We're not trying to go to 0 and open our fingers. We're just trying to relax our fingers and drop the tension down so the string just slips out and the hand comes back.
That's really nice, because I think a lot of beginners struggle with that, especially because, you've hooked onto the string, maybe you've done a beginner's course and you're at full draw and you feel like, how am I going to release? I have to just, like you say, 100 to 0. And then you get that. It makes perfect sense.
You're going to open your fingers.
Yeah.
The reason most people make this mistake is because it feels like the natural, intuitive thing to do. And we're so often in recurve archery, it's not the right thing to do.
Exactly. And to give some kind of colour to what you were mentioning earlier as well, you mentioned about the kind of slipping through the fingers and the release. This is a slow-mo video of me shooting where this shows
excellent
like a good...
archer.
Yeah. Who's this handsome guy? So this is someone... Yeah. This is someone doing the release, and essentially that's the slipping out of the fingers that you're mentioning, right? Where you've just got that slight... You can see
Absolutely.
Just slipping out the fingers, and then they instantly go back curled. And I don't know what frame, like how many frames per second this was. I think it was normally at least 1,000. But, this time between slipping out the fingers and then curling back, I mean, the arrow has gone about maybe a foot maximum.
This is probably at least 1,500, to be honest with you. This is really quite good. Yeah, 1,000, it's still a little bit quick, but this is probably 1.5. And yeah, this is what we're trying to get. Yeah, we're not trying to get you open your fingers, because when you open them, they just keep on coming out, and you just get that wide release. And this is a really nice example of well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think that guy's going
but
to be moderately successful.
Maybe, yeah. That sounds about right. If you're enjoying this video and want step-by-step guidance from me to improve your technique, check out my Online Archery Academy video courses. Go to onlinearcheryacademy.com, click Explore the Courses for a special discount. Now back to the video. So that brings us on to the kind of the second point, I guess, or my first tip with the release, which is, especially for beginners, it's really important to have something to pull against. So what I mean by that is, I was taught this from early on, and I hear this taught a lot, and I can absolutely understand why, but especially at beginners courses, often I'll hear, just touch the string lightly to your face, or just touch the tip of your nose, or just lightly touch your chin. All these kind of words, kind of similar, but essentially what that leads people to do is just feather on the edge of touching the string to the face, and they're just kind of seesawing to touch it, or, oh, I don't want to touch it too hard. And then when you release, you're not really pulling against anything. You've got no like backward pressure here. So essentially, if you're just on the edge and you release, it's just going to do this, or even worse, that. So really important, and this is why separate video, but having a good anchor position is really important, because you want to be able to pull against your chin and your face without slipping and getting chin drag and stuff that we talked about last week.
That's the thing I was going to come on to. Yeah. Because so many people take those wise, totally correct words, but it just sort of gets a little bit misinterpreted. That's always the risk.
That's the risk, yeah. But yeah, really important to have something solid to pull against. I always give the analogy of if you're pulling against a rope and someone cuts it, if you're pulling just the right amount of tension so that the rope is like almost taut, but not really, it's just taking the slack out. If someone cuts it and you're pulling this rope, someone cuts that rope, then nothing's going to happen. If you're pulling the rope with 50% extra tension than you need and you're pulling hard against it and someone cuts the rope in the middle, your hand's going to go back, and that's what we want to see with the release. So if you're a beginner that's struggling with especially going forward or going outwards, not having any backwards power on your release, definitely try and make sure that anchor's good and make sure you've got something to pull against. It's me again here. If you don't want to join the courses just yet, but you want help from me, sign up to my free weekly newsletter by putting your email address in at onlinearcheryacademy.com and clicking join now. Or click become a member to join my online membership community, where you can get access to loads of exclusive content, plus ask questions directly for me to answer in Q&A sessions. So check that out if you want to. And now back to the video. And that brings us on to your second tip as well. So the third overall, but what was your kind of second one?
It's connected to the release. It's not 100%, but I want to talk about, because when I think about the release, I think about the finger tab, and I think about the platform, or not to have a platform on your tab. Because quite often I regularly get asked questions, should I use a platform? Should I not have a platform? Should I have a platform that I put my thumb on top, so it's actually my thumb touching my chin? And my answer to that is yes, sure. All three of them are valid ways to shoot. They're looking for me to give them, that's the answer. That's the guaranteed gold medal way to shoot. But to be honest with you, they're all popular. They all have champions. They all have record holders. I think the important thing is to try these different ways, find out what suits you, what's more comfortable. Because I'm always a bit suspicious. I think some of it comes down to the shape of your head, and the
true.
angle of your jaw can just
Really
mean
true.
that what's super comfortable for me, having a platform. I used a platform my entire life. I tried other things, always went back to that. And I know I can give that same tab and that same shooting method to another person, and either they feel like they haven't got contact, or they've got so much contact they end up cutting their face, So it's about finding that. The key points are, you can tell that you're doing it. You can feel that you're coming to the same place each time. You can do it consistently, is what I mean. You have some feedback, some sensation, so you know you're in a solid position. Because if this is moving every time, I can assure you your arrows are going to be moving every time. So we want a consistent, repeatable position that feels comfortable, doesn't cut your face. Because I tell you, over the years we've seen so many ways in which people have aggravated their chins and caused problems. So yeah, there's not a correct answer. The correct answer is to experiment and find what works for you, because all three of those options are equally as popular, I find.